Okay, class, on the last one, we were looking at this chart here, and we explained the difference between the sympathetic as where the first neuron cell body, the length of the fibers, the location of ganglia between the sympathetic and parasympathetic. So you can review back on that. Of course, remember you have the PowerPoint slides too that you can do even without the video. All right. So we looked at this. And remember I said that when it came to the parasympathetic came from the craniosacral. We had 12 cranial nerves, right? 12 cranial nerves. I said four of them had some autonomic fibers in them. Now they got other fibers in them too, but because remember they mixed nerves. One was, so three fibers, 3, 7, 9, and 10 had autonomic fibers. 3 parasympathetic, 3, 7, 9, and 10. Now let's see what they do. The one in 3 handles the ciliary ganglion. Okay, that's the one that will dilate and constrict the pupil area there. But in this case, parasympathetic, that means that muscle tightens down and constricts the pupil. The sympathetic would open it, would relax that. It's a circular muscle type of thing. The facial nerve, 7, has this, and it works with some of the glands that you have. Some of those salivary glands. Glossopharyngeal that works with that parotid gland. Let me tell you where your parotid gland is. It's right around the ear. Right around the ear. That's what, that's what mumps. All of y'all have heard of the mumps. That's what mumps messes with, is that parotid gland. And then the vagus, like he said, goes all the way down. The vagus goes all the way down and does a lot of stuff, that cranial nerve 10. Then we have some with the sacral, which does the large intestine, urinary bladder, ureters, so forth. Okay? So parasympathetic, craniosacral, nothing from the mid area, all from either the head or the sacral area. And let's go further. So again, right here, this would be the parasympathetic, 3, 7, 9, and 10. You can look at this on your own, or the sacral region. Nothing in here. That's where the sympathetic's going to come from. Okay, the sympathetic comes from that mid region, that thoracolumbar. That's the ones I showed you here that would have been coming from right there in the visceral motor, that lateral horn. Produce the lateral horn. Well, I actually say it right there. Preganglions pass through the white rami and enter the sympathetic trunk. Now, the sympathetic trunk, we're going to talk a little bit about it. I'm not going to make this a real detail. This is that sympathetic trunk right here. I'm going to do a little talking on it, but not a lot. I want you to get the overall. You don't have to be a detailed person on the autonomic. Okay? They pre-pass through the white rami communicans and sympathetic trunk. And I'll show you that, but I'm not going to get real detailed on that. The white rami communicans and the sympathetic trunk. Here's that white rami communicans. I'll come back to it again. Okay. And here's that sympathetic trunk. So what happens is it comes out and then goes into this trunk right here. And then the trunk distributes it to other areas. See, now I want you to see what I'm saying. You need to send fibers up all the way through the whole body, but you're only coming out in this mid region. Check me out. You're only coming out in this mid region. So how do you get there? Now, you got to understand, if you would take a fiber and go direct and you started just wiggling around, you'd snap these little nerves. So the creator had to come up with a way to protect these in kind of a bundle type of way. So when you do get there, and even these are in bundles, that you're not snapping neurons, because even with the wires in your house up in the attic, they're not just free because you'd snap them. Suppose the wires were just going straight through the rooms, then you'd be walking through them and everything. So I want you to apply logic to this stuff. Logic. All right. So we'll talk about that. So there are 23 paravertebral ganglia in the sympathetic trunk. All right. Let's see if I can kind of work you here a little bit. All right. So coming from the lateral horn, this is how the thing is going to go. Coming from the lateral horn is going to be this preganglionic fiber. Now I want you to look at lateral horn. I'm going to come out, and this right here, I'm going to come out, and then I'm going to go into here. So I'm coming out through this ventral root, and then what I'm going to do is leave here. See, this would keep going to the somatic nervous system, because let's go back here. See, right there, that would keep going. Where's my picture? Okay, find it. That would keep going to this somatic motor nervous system right here. So see, in other words, when you came out, you went there. But if I'm going to the rami communicans, then that means I'm going to the autonomic. But see, remember we came out spinal nerve, then we went to the dorsal ramus, ventral ramus, and then but the rami communicans is gonna deal with the sympathetic stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna come back. Let me try to help you with it again. I want you to follow what I'm doing. I'm gonna come out, and then I'm going to leave the somatic for a while, and I'm going to go into my own parking lot. Now right here, this fiber here is myelinated. Remember, the preganglionic fiber we said in the autonomic nervous system was myelinated. It was myelinated. Okay, because it's myelinated, let's see where my chart was. Because it's lightly myelinated, it's white. Because it's lightly myelinated. So if this one then coming out, let me do it again. If this one then coming out is myelinated, then it's white rami communicans. See, up to here, it was all joined together with the somatic also. But now I'm going to leave that and go into this special area only reserved for the sympathetic. But that little branch right there is myelinated. So that's the white rami communicans. Okay, I want you, now I'm going to synapse here. Now, however, let me bring this up to you. It's hard to show, but some of the fibers won't synapse at the same level. Some of them are going to go up and down and synapse at another one of these. Now, in here would be a bunch of neuron cell bodies. See, they only showing one. And so it's hard to do it without being in face-to-face in class. But remember, when this comes out, the preganglionic branches and you pick up a lot of posts. So that's a ganglion right there. That would be a ganglion with a cluster of neuron cell bodies. Cluster. Now, what happens is some fibers go up and some go down. Because now I want you to put some logic with this. If the fibers only come out here, then that's what these lines are showing. Then I'm going to come here. Some I might synapse and go directly out, but some I'm going to send up. Because T1, these first few are got to have the handle up here. So some of the fibers are going to come and they're not going to go direct like this. Some of them are going to come and go up, and then grab another ganglion up higher. Now let's look what I'm talking about. Grab another ganglion up higher. Because see, you're saying there are 23 paravertebral. Why they call them paravertebral, para, is because it's on the side of the cord. Now it would be on this side and that side. You know, this is just a drawing. But it'd be one of these trunks on this side and one on those trunks on that side. But within the trunk are these swellings. Within the trunk are these swellings, and each of these swellings has a bunch of neuron cell bodies. Each of these swellings has a bunch of neuron cell bodies. Go back here. I'm trying to make it happen. Each of these swellings has a bunch of neuron cell bodies in these swellings, like this one here. This is the superior cervical ganglion, 3 cervical. Superior cervical, middle, and inferior cervical, but a bunch of them. So it goes up and then comes out. Goes up. So when you came here, some of these that came didn't go direct. You see what I'm saying? They come up and go to a higher one. And that's the way that you're able to come out in just one area like this, but yet go to several areas. And this is a trunk here, sympathetic trunk, only for the sympathetics, but it's made up of a bunch of ganglia with some connections. Okay? Made up of a bunch of ganglia with some connections there. All right? So that's what's basically happening there. Go back down. All right. So that's what basically, so 3 cervical, 11 thoracic, 4 lumbar, some sacral, and some coccygeal. But so this is reserved totally. That's the paravertebral ganglion, 23. That's the sympathetic trunk, which this is on this drawing here, sympathetic trunk. And see how, so in other words, you'd come out, and right here would be the white rami communicans, even though I don't think it's labeled. Let me see. Let me go down a little bit. They just say rami communicans. So when you come out, you'd come, and these fibers, then the sympathetic would leave, go into the white rami communicans, go up or down the cord, or in some cases come straight out. And this second one is gray. Then you come back in and head on out. You come back in and rejoin the spinal nerve to go on out. Rejoin the spinal nerve to go on out. Okay. All right. So we go further. So that's what it's showing here. See, in other words, it's showing this sympathetic trunk. Sympathetic trunk. You're coming out here, and they're trying to show a white area there. That's the white rami communicans. Then you either come straight out there or go up or down the cord from that to grab another ganglia. They're all communicating. And then you come back with the gray, and then you head on out. You head on out right here. And when you head on out, you're heading in one of those ventral rami or dorsal rami. But the rami communicans is totally for the sympathetic and the sympathetic trunk and the paravertebral ganglion. When you speak of that, you're automatically speaking of sympathetic. Upon entering the sympathetic ganglion, may do one of follows. Synapse with the ganglion within the same ganglion, ascend or descend the sympathetic trunk to synapse in another trunk, or pass through the trunk and emerge without synapsing. Okay? In some cases, you may not even synapse. You may pass on through. Now, if you do that, number 3, listen, if you do 3, then we go into something else, which is going to be the prevertebral ganglia. If you do this, it's not like you're not going to still do 2 neuron pathway. It's not like you're not going to still do a 2 neuron, but you're going to go to another one called the prevertebral. See, we had the paravertebral before. Okay. So here again is what you saw. All right. Here again is 3 pathways. Okay. Synapse to higher, lower. So here's one coming straight out at the same level. That's what that picture shows. Here you are going up, or in some cases down, this to do that. And here's this third one that you're not going to do it at all. And you're going to come out, and then you're going to do collateral ganglia, or also called prevertebral ganglia. Prevertebral ganglia. Right here. And see that, and see if you do that, you go into these internal organ areas. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to close this and start another one.